All righty, welcome to Real Talk AI and Cyber Now. I'm your host, as always, Ron Hicks, and with me today we have a very special guest, Mr. Brandon Bowman. What's going on, sir?
What's going on, Ron?
Not a lot, man. You coming out of hot Atlanta, Georgia down there. I see that Georgia shining.
It's a good weekend coming up. Yeah, it's not very hot right now, but it should be a good weekend down here in the city.
Probably warmer than it is here in old Chicago.
Yeah,
Nice and,
probably.
nice and chilly. Man, I got some good stuff today. We're going to be talking about a timeless lesson. The lesson is going to be don't say no, say how.
Okay. Sounds like
All righty. Let me share
sounds
my
like a game
screen.
host. Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it, man. If you come out of this today, you are going to be a lot better prepared to deal with some cybersecurity issues. Specifically, we're saying the timeless lesson is don't say no, say how. And what does that mean for the security teams? If you say no, your users will be the ones to say how, right? And for those of us who've been around a minute, I think we recognize that is true. Sometimes it's a lot better to just get on the train so you can kind of have a say in how the destination winds up, as opposed to standing in front of the train with the big old stop sign. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, exactly. I hate saying no. I hate telling other people's no, but I'll find a way to work around to make it
So
going.
Brandon, you're here representing the security teams of Planet Earth. We're live right now on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook, and we're gonna be really diving into this actual tried and true lesson, putting it through some tests. Now, I'm gonna go in the Wayback Machine, and I'm gonna talk about a time. This might even be before, Brandon. This might even be before you started in IT.
There's a
Because
possibility.
I, I, I
Yes.
hit I hit the scene back in the '90s, and back then there was a textile mill that I worked at, right? And we had big green screens, or these green screens, and we had a network and mainframes, and that's about it. If you wanted internet, you were out of there. At home, of course, you could get you a modem and an AOL account and get on this brand new thing that I think it said Al Gore created the internet or something like that. I think was the rumor.
Yeah, I
But
think it
you,
was a rumor, something like that.
but as the company position would be, hey, listen, we don't trust that internet. It looks dangerous to us. We want you to just stay right here. No internet for anybody at work. Well, I'm guessing you would guess that if you wanted internet, what you would do is just, connect a modem to the machine. Probably not one of the green screens, but you would connect a modem in and dial out, and then you would have an issue. And that's an example of bring your own internet. When the security team says no, right? People figure out a way. People say how. And later on, the obvious answer, and that we know now, of course, is well, every business has an internet. They
Yeah.
provide internet, and they do it in a controlled fashion with a firewall and security policies. So it's kind of a non-issue now. But the lesson is all the way. That's what was going on then.
Correct. And now we're looking at okay. Now we're looking at what applications, what content are we allowing our business users to use, to look at, to access for what's acceptable in the environment. I mean, every company is different, so you just start off with, hey, let's have a policy. What types of content's allowed? What's not allowed. Then we go from there and we implement technical controls to enforce that policy.
Absolutely. Can you imagine as a business right now, going back to the policies of the '90s and saying no to internet? What would happen?
Oh, chaos. You
People
know,
would just go to the internet on their phone.
exactly.
People would just like sneak a laptop to work.
Yep, they create their own hotspots and go off their way. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Timeless principles it is. And you jumped on it right there. Listen, here's the goal. We're going all the way back, and we're going to come all the way to right now with this same type thing, and all the way out into the future. So some of the problems that people say are so challenging and undoable now, like AI security, hello, It's everywhere. How you going to secure it? There's big holes that some people say you can't ever fix, like prompt injection and other very challenging things. Sometimes it's really easy to find people, naysayers, if you will. I agree, AI security is a big deal, but there is a way, and there's a tried and true, so you don't have to guess way. And this is a lot of the way. Don't say no, say how. So if you look at the next step, you mentioned it yourself. The second lesson, bring your own wireless, right? So if you think about it, if you get past everybody having the internet, now we've got a normal size, a normal business layout somewhat, with a LAN and some devices and maybe some servers and a firewall and the internet, right? But we say, no, wireless is dangerous. We heard you just hack into that from the parking lot. We don't want no wireless. So we say no to that. You see any problems, Brandon?
Yeah. Now what we can look at is media access control, what devices are allowed onto your wireless networks, encrypted authentication, WPA3 enterprise level, stuff like that. And so we can authenticate the users and the devices from accessing that wireless environment and block everything else. So,
Yes, agreed. You know what the hacker in me would do? I'd go down to Best Buy and buy me an AP and stick it into that little port under my desk and go to wireless.
oh gosh,
Now I
yes.
got my iPad, my cell phone, my laptop I brought from home, and the device that my company gave me that they watch real close. I'd have all this stuff on my AP, and my AP be going to that connection under my desk that handed an IP address to anybody that stuck in it, a cord in it, and I'd bring my own wireless to work. What you think?
It is very common in smaller environments that, like, when you have switches connected to ports that are connected to like wall outlets, they leave all the
Yeah.
ports wide open. You know, they don't do any configuration. They don't shut off unused ports, which is recommended. Hey, look, if you have ports that are unused, shut them off. You know, only connect known and trusted devices to your network. You know, and look at either the MAC address of each device. You know, look at that for authentication and audit and account for every port and all your traffic. So
Yes, from a security perspective, you are 100% right. You know, when you want to start locking down layer 2, right? When you want to start locking down wireless and locking these things down, you need to not be using default configs. This falls underneath the category of hardening the network and hardening authentication. We aren't talking about hardening authentication right now, but
Yeah.
hardening the network. Part of it is just the devices you bought. Don't put them in there with default configs, which means take it into consideration, all the ports and all the attack surface that you're putting in there, by just taking and plugging it in, and if somebody needs it, plugs it in, and we're go. That's easy, but maybe that's the way you do it when you're rolling things out. But after that, go to that device, make sure, show whatever the command is, right? Show interface status brief or whatever, and look specifically at the devices that are up and which one's down, and kind of get an idea through your monitoring which ones are used and are not. And then, if nothing else, write a quick script. That's easy nowadays. Write a script, knock out
Yeah.
all the ones, and if somebody doesn't work, it's a help desk ticket. They're back up, and you're good then. Then it's a controlled process after that, right?
yeah,
Bringing things on like bringing them on. They got to at least put in a ticket. Somebody's got to, it's a controlled change effort after that. So absolutely, that's the way to go.
I have a network tool that I can connect up to any port. Sometimes when I travel around, if I see a port open in a hotel lobby, I'll stick the device in and see what configuration comes up. If it's shut down, great. If it's wide open, oh man, I just shake my head.
Happens
So
a lot.
it happens all the time in like hotels, conference spaces, yeah, even airports sometimes. You're like, oh, what the?
Well, a lot of the reason it happens, Brandon, is the Comcast guy comes out, Comcast lady comes out and puts in a business class modem / internet / switch / firewall / AP / whole network, and sticks it in, and it comes up. Does it work? Great. Here's the SSID. See you later. And it's not their job to configure
Yeah.
your equipment. It's their job to make it work, and that's what they do. And so many times people just really don't realize that what they need to do is actually think about security and lean on security professionals if they're not one, because each of these electronic devices that connect has a config, and it really needs to be locked down and secured at all levels, and that's where security actually comes from. Or else we're just having EDR let us know that we got mugged, and we know quicker now, so we're still, you know, the hardening ahead of time, as you mentioned, with the configs and so forth. That's money, man. You spend the money once, it saves you a tremendous amount of headache in that you get real security, but all the monthly expenses from the fear-driven purchases can really drop off.
Yeah. Biggest thing is the big mindset is everyone thinks that IT does security, network, cloud, infrastructure, VoIP, applications, web development. They think we're like seven people in one job. That's 7 different jobs. Like the network guy and security guy may know the same stuff, but they're 2 different people. So
The depths are certainly different, aren't they?
like the hardware guy and the server guy does not know the network security stuff and doesn't know like the routing stuff. You know, it's a misconception that like us as IT professionals know everything. We don't. And
It's true. We have,
I mean, think about
we
it.
both have our subject matter expertise, don't we?
I mean, yeah, you have lawyers, right? But how many different lawyers do you know? I know criminal defense lawyer, real estate lawyer, injury attorney lawyer. You know, I'm not going to have the injury attorney lawyer do my criminal defense when you're advice. You know, like
Agreed.
think of it that way. Not every doctor doesn't do. Yeah, every doctor doesn't know the same stuff. You know.
Agreed. Agreed. Lesson number 3 from the past. Now we're getting closer to what's going on right now. So we've talked way back on bring your own internet, right? We talked way back or before people didn't really have wireless at work. Now they do have wireless at work and it's controlled. And now we're talking about BYOD. This is more what's going on right now, isn't it? I mean, it would seem that, what am I talking about BYOD, bring your own device? We're talking about the difference in where the company provides a company-owned laptop, desktop / device, phone or whatever to an employee. That particular company-owned device has all the security policies on it, has all the agents or whatever on it. It's monitored and good. But these are the other things. Maybe an employee's phone. Maybe it's an employee's laptop. Maybe it's a PC at home that a manager would maybe connect in or whatever. And so here's a situation where we as a company say no to BYOD. Absolutely not. Only company devices. Okay. How are the users going to say yes? How are the users going to say how? When we say no, how do they say how?
Okay, so the biggest fear is, hey, you bring your own device. Where the IT teams can't legally have access and be able to manage, control what's on it, see what's on it. You know, privacy reasons. And bottom line, it's not the company's property. What we can do is use things like remote access in terms of, like, let's say Citrix environments, remote desktop environments, in a sense, virtual desktop environments through cloud-based applications using multi-factor authentication. Prisma Secure Browser for secure browsing environments that are tied in with your corporate credentials. You know, so there's ways to do it to allow access to corporate resources securely without losing your corporate data. You know, and having it done on employee devices.
Absolutely. We know now that there's a right way to do it exactly as you described. To accept the fact that, you know what, maybe someone at home does have a device that they need to work from. So we're going to give them a Citrix client to connect to a Citrix virtual instance so that we can then connect in a controlled way. So basically a virtual desktop, right, that they can access from a client with theirs. Or similarly, a virtual machine, a host, a virtual client in a hypervisor, either in a SaaS or there's different ones. Yeah, there's lots of ways we can do it, but what if we say no completely to BYOD? Is that a problem? How are the users going to say how as a response?
That's a good question, because if corporate's saying no, then it's corporate owns the data and owns the information. So
Let me give you. Let me put on my hacker hat. So, let's say that you don't trust my cell phone enough to allow me to have my company email on it. Well, it's awfully convenient for me because I just happen to have my cell phone with me all the time, like every other human on planet Earth.
Yep.
So it's kind of inconvenient that you won't let me have my email on my phone. So, and I don't like no as an answer. So I'm just going to forward my email from work to my personal account.
Device. Yeah.
And then I'll check my personal account and be able to see my email on my phone now.
Oh yeah,
So,
I hate that. I hate
when
when
you
people do
said
that.
no to me, what I did is made the situation way worse. Way worse. Whereas before, there was some, whereas like what you described, Brandon, there's some risk with me having my own device. But if you mitigate that risk with a client in Citrix or with some solution around that where I act as a client to a virtual desktop that you control, maybe a physical one, maybe a virtual, right? You set up something like that, then there's a little bit of risk, but it's mitigated. Instead, now I've got my company email sitting over there in my Gmail account or Yahoo or whatever. I have made a mess as a user because you, security team, told me no. Instead of you thinking how. There's obviously a need here, which is my phone is with me and you want me available all the time, right?
Yeah, so like applications like that, there are containerized like applications for phones and mobile devices, and you have to have like the mobile device itself. Has it been rooted? Is it patched? Has the latest like OS updates? You can look at mobile device management platforms that allow access in terms of like looks like data loss prevention program applications and programs to help protect your data and not lose your data. Like, for example, you don't allow forwarding of your email to external domains. Like that's a simple checkbox right there, especially in the, say, Microsoft 365 tenant. So that's definitely like, hey, we're not going to allow this to happen. So, yeah, I mean, that's the way around it is through your mobile device management and like allowed applications. And usually it's like containerized applications. For example, I knew someone who like worked at an insurance brokerage firm. They had like a separate Outlook app for like their work email, and she had her Outlook app separate as well. So it's doable, it's allowable, but there's a way to do it safely.
Bingo. There's a way to do it, but we got to take on the weight within the security team, right, and create what the users need rather than saying no. That's the lesson, and it's a timeless lesson, and it happens over and over. And let's go to the next one. Lesson 4. This is the last one. This is like maybe now and in the future more, right? Bring your own cloud. So let me describe this to you. So I need a way to share files. I need a way to share a file, but my company won't let me share the file. So I'm just going to take this file, throw it on Dropbox or Google Drive or whatever, and then share it with whoever because they told me no.
Yeah, I've seen that way too many times. From a security perspective, if we want to stop that, we go things like application and Palo Alto Networks will be firewalls we use, blocking the use of like Dropbox and application ID to that workstation's subnet. Can mitigate that. Not allowing file share. Unless it's approved file share. Things like, say, if you're in a Microsoft 365 tenant environment, it's like using OneDrive and SharePoint as the authorized methods. And then there's also, you got to look at what items are being shared. So there's been a lot of, I have clients that like where I'm looking at their SaaS application, look at their data, and like, hey, they're using public links instead of like using links that expire to share like files. And so you keep those public links open, and they're like been open for 30, 60, 90 days, whatever, and they're like, and they just keep them open. And if someone forwards that link to someone else, that link is still valid, so that data it could be exposed. You know,
Absolutely.
so you have to have a policy. Hey, look, if you create a public link, it expires within 30 days. You know, or if you want to use a private link, you know, make sure you're recording who it's going to and for a set amount of time.
Absolutely. And Brandon, what you're describing is the pain. The pain it is to control a situation that you created because you said no. Instead of saying how, which is, right, a SharePoint with shared users in it that the company owns, but all the data there, don't allow it anywhere else. Come on now. Instead of dealing directly with the problem, which you have people that need to share some files. Come on. You know, you didn't provide anything as a business. You said no because you're concerned about security and created a mess instead of how. Take those needs seriously as a security department. I'm talking to security teams, right? This is what the day's about, security teams. Stop saying no and start saying how, right? Use the technology. Stop trying to push it away because users are going to do it. Users are going to use it, man. You know, recognize the need. So, yeah, I'm saying create a solution instead of trying to squash what is scary, like, you know, sharing files. Yes, sharing files is scary, one of the scariest things. But if you create a clean way to do it, along with some training around that and a policy, I think things get a lot better. The Dropbox usage will probably slow down. Nobody wants to have to do something wrong or trying to do something wrong, just trying to get their job done, I think, right? A lot of times. It makes it tough on us security. It makes it tough on us security firewall folks. You hear Brandon talk about what it's like in the trenches to deal with bad policies, like not having a file sharing policy and a way to do it correctly and training the users how to do it. So we have to do the negative side, which is block this, do that, you know, make sure this, not that, you know, it gets challenging. That's the reason these are timeless lessons. You can learn these things and apply them to what's coming next.
And you say like policies. We're talking about governance in your environment. IT is not the one that creates the policies. Well, the policies should be created by a group that represents every aspect of your business, every department. Like a governance group, like we're talking C-suite folks, we're talking managers, you know, like say, hey, we want to create a policy on, for example, like file sharing policy, like what's allowed, you know, you need the input from all your business decision leaders, say what do I need to effectively do my job, and then create the policy of that and have everyone else look at it and sign off on it before it's enforced. You know, the IT director or security manager is not the one that creates the policy. They help build the policy together. We fine tune it, and then we look for reviews and say, hey, look this over, read it, let's talk about it. Then we say, okay, as a group, we all agree that this is going to be the policy, and then enforce it.
Absolutely.
You know,
what you're describing, Brandon, is that security is not an IT thing.
It is not. Security is
a business thing, and you know, when you look at it from a actual money risk perspective, it makes a lot more sense. One of the things that we've done in line with that is we don't just do pen tests anymore. Great, I agree, we need to do pen tests. We need a real human to look and see where you're at. We run stuff on it, yes, that's valuable, but we need a real person to get in there and see, as a hacker, where you're vulnerable so we can know for sure. So beyond just that, though, what is in your devices? We don't know that. We may say, yeah, you know what, we see this device is vulnerable, it's got this, SMB that, we got a port open, blah, 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 so forth, so on, we can get in, whatever. But what's on the devices? We don't like take an inventory of every single file on your devices when we do a pen test, but that's where your problem is. It's not just the config on the devices that we're talking about. A lot of times when a pen test is done, it's the having the default config that shows up. You got a device, you bought it, you threw it on the network, you didn't harden it at all. Now it's got all kinds of security vulnerabilities. That's what's found. Now we come back, we put the patches on it, we harden it, now it's good, and we move on. But how about the stuff that the users are putting on the hard drive? The PII stuff, the whatever information that you don't know, maybe you don't know what's on there. That is the type of stuff that really matters, because after you're hacked, it's that information that's going to cost you real money. So handling this type handling security, not from an IT firewall perspective, but handling IT security or security from a beyond IT way as a business based on actual risk and dollars it's going to cost, can then inform how much you should spend. Am I right, Brandon? If I know that I'm potentially out to lose this much, now it makes sense to spend X amount to clean it up and monitor or whatever the risk is.
Yeah, and it's like cybersecurity is not a destination; it's a journey, and it's a continuous journey because you're identifying risk, and you're saying, "Hey, what are we doing to mitigate risk?" and applying those controls, and then repeat.
Yep.
So it's a rinse and repeat cycle, and it's if you don't know what's going on in your environment, you don't know what to look for, what are your risks are, because you're going in blind.
Yes.
So, and you're waiting for something to happen. When it happens, or you don't know it's already happened, and it's been going on for months, years, whatever, and so then you're at the point where, hey, oh, shoot, I'm spending $1 million, $2 million, whatever, trying to recover.
10 million is the average for the breach. In 2025 is 10 million. And by the way, if an AI is involved with the breach, meaning that you've got some AI in your environment and there's some privileges involved with it, the amount goes up on an average of $674,000 for the breach. So AI creates a tremendous amount more money costing out on the 10 million, that much. So that's based on IBM's 2025 research. So just some numbers.
And insurance isn't going to protect you. Cyber insurance isn't there to protect you. They're to help you recover. But then again, most of the times insurance companies don't want to pay out because you're negligent, because you didn't do the XYZ requirements for that policy, and they're not going to pay out. Or they
Brandon, I'm glad you brought that subject up, because so many times, I am calling out right now from a guy in the trenches, helping the CISOs, helping the IT managers, helping the, IT people in the company. They're handed this document, and there's some really challenging things on there that it says that we need to do. And we got to get this signed. We got to, and we don't want to spend maybe all the money in the world to get the best of everything. So sometimes it's kind of hung up between what we want to spend and what we need to say yes on the piece of paper. Anybody feel what I'm saying? This happens a lot.
And we have IT directors, managers, whatever, signing off on things that they know that's not. They're not. They're signing off yes to what's on the requirements for their insurance policy, knowing well that it's not being, they don't have it, and it's borderline fraud and abuse. It's negligent, and it's gonna cost someone their job, or it's gonna cost a business from selling things, paying people, you name it. It's gonna cause a company to shut doors when it happens.
Yeah. I think the number is 60+% of businesses don't survive a breach. Right? And I was like, I think that's the number.
For my C-risk and CISSP days of knowledge of cyber insurance is used when all your other risk controls are put in place. It's not the first thing you put; it's the last thing. When all the residual left over, you can transfer that risk over to insurance. When you've done the right things and the ethical things first to help protect your business, put the right controls in at acceptable, find your acceptable risk levels, put your controls in, and so we get into those levels, then whatever residual risk we transfer it over to insurance. Got it.
Agreed.
That's where it should be. Yeah.
It's so much easier to say yes. Let me give you a question that's often asked, that's on these, as an example. Do you train your users for cybersecurity type stuff? Right? There's a question for that. And, if I'm the IT director and I'm sure I've mentioned something to an employee about not clicking on something at some point, right?
Does that constitute as training your employees?
Right? And so that type of an example can be used on every single question. And maybe we've got this thing over here that we bought, or maybe, you know, a Microsoft Defender comes on it by default, so that counts or something. There's all kinds of kind of wiggling around with the information to try to find a way. I'm just saying, if this type squeeze that we're talking about is a real challenge in today's environment. And what I think Brandon is trying to say, and what I'm trying to say, and to say it cleanly, it's, if you do the right things, it's a lot easier, because it's gonna cost you one way or the other, right? There's some memes out there about, you know, security budget before breach, security budget after breach, you know, that type of stuff. And it's just one of the, what it really is a security awareness that comes about once something happens real close to you, or you know, and you're really involved in it, and you actually understand the pieces. Then you're able to make better decisions because you have more knowledge. And a lot of times that happens after a breach. And that's why it makes sense now to spend this X to offset this risk, because it's a real risk. And businesses that want to do the right thing, and owners that really care about their baby and protecting their legacy, and that want to really get a hold of this, it's not that hard. You just need to partner with the right folks. We'll look at the cybersecurity risks as I described. We'll do a pen test. We'll see where we're at. We'll get things squared away. A lot of times it's an effort to mature the security quickly, to get you up to speed where you need to be, and then kind of set things along. So it's just a matter of maturity and doing these things. Once you do those things, and it's super easy to say yes when the insurance asks, or the third-party security audit comes along.
Here you go.
You can say yes to these things. It's just a requirement today to do business, right? You got to put your seatbelt on when you drive. You got to secure your business, be connected to the internet, and do commerce.
Yeah, have things documented and properly maintained and organized. And so, if you want to be a vendor for a larger enterprise, here's the binder. Here's all everything you need. Let's ask questions. Are you set, ready to go? They're ready to do business with you. You're getting dollars in. You know, it's having that thing done and ready. It's a process. It's always continuing, and but in the end, it's gonna help you bring dollars in and sell things and produce, you know, whatever your job is, you know, whatever your industry is, you know, it's going to help you make more money, you know, just by putting the precautions in place, you know, like.
Certainly help you sleep better.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, help you sleep better for sure.
All right, so let's apply the lesson now. So Brandon, we've talked about a timeless lesson here of not saying no, but saying how, right? We've talked about it from bring your own internet, back when people probably listening to us don't even remember working back then. I'm so old. We've talked about bringing your own wireless. We've talked about bringing your own devices. We've talked about bringing your own, what was the last one we just did?
Cloud. Bring your own
cloud. Now, we bring it to the real point of the lesson here. Bring your own AI. And nowadays, I'm hearing over and over a lot of concerns about AI and security. And I'm being prompt injection, ding, ding, ding. I don't see a way that you can solve that right now, because these things can be tricked, man. I mean, it's one thing to social engineer a junior person at a company. It's a whole nother thing to social engineer an AI. We've shown that it's definitely doable. And you described the security that goes around that, Brandon, where, you know, when you were talking earlier about how to block this, you know, bring your own cloud. So block Dropbox, block this, block that. Don't let them do. What about that? And all of the lessons before have seen the same exact lesson. When the security team says no, what do the users do? They say how. So if you're a business out there and you're saying no to AI, let me warn you, your users are saying how.
Yeah, your users are saying, oh, watch this. I can do my job better and faster, spend less time doing something. Oh, I could throw it in ChatGPT, the free version, all your corporate business data, and then see what the output is.
Shadow AI is a real thing. Is it a problem, Brandon, you think? Shadow AI?
I think it is a very big problem. Just like introducing any new technology into an environment, there are risks, inherent risks that come in, you know. AI, like introducing AI into your environment does bring risk, but you have to you don't just throw it in there. Like I said earlier, offline, it was like, hey, AI governance starts at the beginning, not just, hey, we'll tack it on at the end. You know, so you got to have a use case, business use case for artificial intelligence. You know, what are the appropriate data types you're allowed to introduce? What platforms you're going to use? You know, what environment? What is the test user group? You know, what are our policies? You know, like how do we define it? You know, like so having those in place first before mass deploying it out to your end users is the right way to go. You know, just like any other technology, you're gonna have a test and focus group. Then say, is it meet the business requirements? All right, yes. All right, we're good to go live.
You said it. Just like any other technology, we're going to roll it out responsibly. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but when you start talking about AI, all of a sudden people are saying different things and do it different and whatever. I just showed you 4 examples from the past, and every one of them said when you say no, they bring it themselves. So what's the answer? You provide it in a secure fashion. When it comes to AI, if you say no, what are they going to do? Bring it themselves.
Exactly.
So what should you do?
Bring it to
Provide
them.
it in a secure fashion. These are not like outlandish type, wild concepts. These are tried and true, proven lessons from the past that we're describing here with lots of examples. So when I'm bullish on AI, when I say, you know what, you can't just like ignore it. This is why I'm saying that. When I say you need to block public AI, generative AI like ChatGPT, Gemini, all the ones that are out there, Grok, all the ones that aren't controlled by the business, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? When I say that, and you want to just block it and leave a big void there, what do you think people are going to do? They're going to start using their phone. They're going to figure out a way to take that doc that they want to figure out that they're trying to work with, get it out of the business and on where they could have AI do it for them. It makes much more sense, like what we've been showing here for quite a few weeks now, to put a secure AI platform in place that's owned by the business, a SaaS tenant, if you will, that it has all the, it's a tried and true vetted solution that the business can get behind and provide. So instead of saying no to AI, I encourage all the business owners and the business leaders out there, say how. How can we empower our people with AI? How can we bring it into the environment and have it be an enabler, but not a big security risk? Those are the things that need to be said now. Those are the things that need to be acted on. What do you think?
Yeah, because I think AI is a game changer for business, and I think it helps improve productivity, helps get better results of what you look at. It helps your business out, So I think that if you're saying no to it, you're handicapping your employees essentially. Like they're not getting the best technology. They'll go somewhere else. They will allow them to do it, one, or they will find a way around it, or so, and you're losing dollars by not implementing a technology that could help you. You're not making money.
You're not making money if you're trying to block things that are helping everybody do things quicker. That's just not a very smart move. I agree. Yes, sir. So, in closing here, I think we got a real strong case for, not saying no to AI, but instead using a intelligent, secure implementation of AI that makes sense for the business, that can actually grow profit, right? They can actually increase whatever in the business needs increasing, whether it's time in the break room for the wore out employees, maybe just empowering your people will make things better all the way around. Even if you don't have a use case right now, everybody does email, everybody does a lot of these things that it can help with at a minimum. So I'm encouraging all of our clients and all of anyone that's in IT. There are solutions around AI. Don't listen to the things in the environment that's very popular in the culture now. With the AI doom and gloom stories. I'm sure people said the same thing about electricity whenever it came out. It was going to be the end of the world and other revolutionary type things. From my perspective, I think it's going to both create jobs and get rid of some jobs. But I think the technology itself, right now, here as we end 2025, headed into 2026, I can honestly say that as a business, there's some solutions out there that can be put in place that will be absolutely transformative for the business and very easy on the implementation and very easy on the pocketbook as well. The
Yeah.
solutions are there. I encourage businesses to be looking at those.
Yeah, instead of paying like license per month, do license by based off usage. That's
Absolutely.
the model we like seeing now. I pay for what you use, not for not using it. So I like the environment that we use. We pay for based off usage, and I have multiple language learning models I could choose from in a secure environment that I'm not risking losing our client data. It helps us solve problems faster and with better efficiency, and helps clients remediate and move on.
Yeah,
Help
yeah,
you.
exactly. I was just going to bring this up. This is the one that we use right now. And as you can see from the URL over lencherhats.ai, here's the chat. And, a tool like this that is a secure AI platform gives your users anything that they need regarding the agent. So not only do you get, let me show you here, not only do you get general AI instead of just one co-pilot, but you get a tremendous amount of different AIs. Where's it at? Right here. Let me show all models here. Show view all models. Yeah. So look at all the different models. You get 54 different models. Here's some featured models. Gemini 3 Pro Image Nano Banana for image generation is an example of a featured one. Lots of Geminis, lots of Chat GPTs, Amazon, Anthropic, Claude, DeepSeek, Google, Meta, Mistral, again, OpenAI models, and a Grok, and on and it goes. So if you need different AIs for different things, man, this has got everything loaded in. Not only that, but it's got a tremendous amount of tools that you can use to enable that AI to do things on your part. It's got even a tool in here, the Hats Workshop Assistant, that will create an AI agent for you. Tell it what you want the agent to do, and it'll do it, including writing all the different things and creating it for you. All these different tools that it uses. It's got all these integrations that you can see here with LinkedIn, Microsoft, all the different ones here, high level, Salesforce, ConnectWise, Reddit, on and on and on and on and on these go. And so, yeah, and these folks are working on it pretty hard too. I will say, I just noticed this auto tool just came out recently here in the last week or so. So you can click the auto tool, so you don't even have to tell it what the tool is. Just tell it what you want it to do, and it'll grab the tools and integrations it needs. So, yeah, a lot of power here. And I didn't even mention the workshop, the agents you can create, or there's an AI phone agent you can use, or there's a whole learning portal. Lots of stuff here. The point is, you can't say no. They're going to say how. So instead of that, say no to generative AI that are private people's accounts and other things like that. Say no to that. That's what you should do. Yes, because it is a concern. But you got to provide something in its place. And a tool like this is a whole lot better than a $30 Copilot subscription, right? Which is going to it's going to be $30, like Brandon mentioned. Every user's pop, 30, 30, 30, 30. And whether they use it or not, boom, it pays. That's not a really good use. Instead, something like this is usage-based. Throw as many users in it as you want, and you pay for the usage as they grow and use it. So the idea is that as people are empowered more, they produce more, the costs go up along with the production going up. But you're able to control all of that in here. So, again, there are solutions out there. The tried and true way of thinking about things from the past of don't say no, say how, I think really does apply today to AI, and especially to bring your own AI that's going on and the problems around and the challenges around AI security.
I feel like we know us as as a company, when we work with our clients, we don't tell our clients no. We tell them a way to do it effectively and securely. And so I feel like all of us get phone calls from directors, IT directors, IT management staff say, hey, how can I do this? I'm like, hey, here's a way to do it, like securely. And I think us as a business, we take that security first approach, but no, we don't tell them no. Because we want them to produce and be able to conduct business. And so I think, especially you and me, we've been on the business side of things where, hey, I just want it up. Now we are thinking, hey, how do we secure it and still have it up? So I think us as a company, we do that really well. And all of our engineers and all of our consultants that do it. So I enjoy working with you guys, and it's fun. I hate telling people no, but I'll tell them how we can do it the right way.
That's the way to do it, isn't it? That's the value. And in truth, that's the real value that Valentia brings to the table. Honestly, it's people like you, Brandon. Man, I got to give you some props here. I called you a couple of hours before this, and you're like, let me get cleaned up. You had no idea what we were going to talk about. No idea, and you just jumped right in. And I've seen you do that with clients and security incident response and projects and challenges. I really appreciate your heart and the way that you run business on, with things. And I think that really is the value that we bring here to the table, is putting out information like what we're doing right now, meeting with clients, doing the same thing specifically in a client environment where we're talking about connectivity or security or whatever we're talking about, and that we're helping them with. I think those are the type things that really, really stand out at the end of the day.
Yeah, we like solving problems. We don't stovepipe and tell them no. These businesses have requirements. They have things. They have dreams, aspirations, goals. We want to help them achieve those goals in the right and secure, safe manner. So protect them while they're taking on risk in terms of what they're trying to achieve. We're helping them reduce that risk and mitigate based off what we see and what we can help them with. So
absolutely, and it's the skill set of knowing the bang for the buck, right? The defense in depth. What are you trying to do? What are we trying to do? Well, here's how you would do that. That skill set, that's what you're actually buying. That's the juice, if you will. And the fact that we're channel partners and we can provide you with lots of different, if you want to buy different forms of EDR or different solutions like we're talking about, different hardware, Cisco, Palo, firewall, of course we provide all of those things, but the real magic is the people. Yeah. That's what's different. That is the real magic, is the people to be able to say, try this one and not that one, or do it this way and not that way, and let me help you. Let me set it up for you. Let me deliver that equipment configured for your environment, instead of it showing up in a box and your folks going, oh my goodness, we got to
what do I do? Yeah.
Right. Those type things, that's the magic. It's really a people thing.
Yep, exactly.
Hey, right here at the end, I want to give credit where credit is due. This is one of my favorite guys, Jeff from IBM. He put out this video about a month ago. I saw it this week. That was my that really made me think about this concept of this lesson: don't say no, say how. So if you want more information on that, that's the video right there. Please check it out. And with that, I want to thank everyone that's been listening. I know a lot of you listen while you're riding into work or whatever you're not able to watch, but those of you who've been watching, I appreciate you staying here with the end with us. And Brandon, thank you so much for jumping on and providing so much value. If you guys need anything cybersecurity wise or AI wise, or things we've been talking about, Valentia.com, you can always find us there. Reach out to me, throw something in the comments. We'll be glad to respond if you got any questions. Thank you again, Brandon, for coming.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.